do this. Here we go. Hi, host Eric here, and I am here with famous person Het, and these are just about the first words I've ever spoken to her. We started recording right away. Welcome, Het.
Hi, my name is actually Lindy. I just put in whatever.
Oh, your name is Lindy. It's not Het. Okay.
It's not Het. I didn't know how to work it. And I was trying to get it. I don't know.
Okay, well, Lindy. Lindsay or Lindy?
Lindy, no S
Lindy.
or E.
No S. Okay. So, welcome. And if you're, Amy, if you're, what's the word? I don't know. Amenable to it, then I would like to start it right in with one of the psychology type tests.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So I'm going to ask some
Yes,
basic sort of
I'm totally
introductory.
down for it.
All right, cool. So I'm going to ask some basic introductory questions first. Um, would you consider yourself somebody who prefers to hang out in groups of more than three people, or in groups of two or three people? Two, three, or
Um,
more. I'll give you three choices: two, three, or more than three. If you're
it
not by
depends on the
yourself.
situation.
All right. Can you give me a situation where you'd prefer to hang out with a larger group than three?
Um, a situation where I had to be like in charge, so to speak. Like if I had to host something, I would want there to be at 5 people minimum. A more intimate setting, a couple people.
Okay. If you're having a conversation with a group of there's you and two other people, and one of the other people you like a lot, and one of the other people you really don't like at all, how will you manage that given that the one you likes the one that you don't like?
Um, I probably would focus more on the person that I like or feel like I know better and kind of not be as direct towards the other person, maybe not talk to them as much or direct questions, answer things that they say as much.
Okay. I can give you a second to think about this next question. When I ask, after I get asked, I'm going to get up and close the door for lighting reasons. But um, if you were to say, if you had to decide between one value over the other, and the values were kindness and justice, which value would you prefer and why? And I'll be right back. All right, go ahead.
Okay, I didn't really have to think about it. I would go with justice because kindness is just kind of sometimes it's not as beneficial to be kind as it is to be just, if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, I guess I would say, would you say for the person to whom the kindness is directed, that's true for that person as well? That it would be more important to be just with that person than kind to that person? Or do you mean
Well, I,
for the society as a whole?
I mean, just in general, if being just is more kind, then because if you're just kind, it might actually be more detrimental to someone than like being just. If that, I don't know if that makes sense.
So you'd rather be
I feel
kind to
like
just.
justice.
You'd rather be kind to just than just kind.
I I'd rather go with what's true because I feel like that's more it's more beneficial than kindness if just being kind for the sake of being kind is it's not really benefiting anyone.
Um, when something I was going to ask that you just said. Okay, so when you said about truth, you talked about the truth being more important. What do you think?
Hmm.
What's your way of determining if something's true or not, and what sort of thought processes do you have regarding that?
Well, true would be what can be observed, what can be like what's tangibly truth, what is widely seen as truth, what can be tested and observed and kind of um, just
Does something have to be falsifiable to be true, but to have a truth value?
no, it's just something that not necessarily, not necessarily.
Okay. Um, do you have? Do you believe that moral truths are as true as, say, observations about laws in the physical world?
Can you be a little bit more specific with that question?
Well, when you answer the question about justice and kindness, you had a clear perspective on it. Do you think issues of justice are as objectively true or false as are issues of, say, um, causality? The fact that I am responsible for the crash because I ran the red light and I ran into the person and I wasn't paying attention and I was
Mm-hmm.
drunk and on Quaaludes. So it's definitely my fault. Okay, it's like there's that kind of objective um, attribution of fault would seem to imply that then the justice issue is equally objective, or do you think that's not the case?
Um, well, I mean, everything is subjective in a sense, and it's just really where you place your. I guess it would depend on where you would place importance. And for me, I place importance on more objective things rather than what's subjective, because something can be everyone can justify anything in their own mind, but I don't know if that's even answering the question.
Well, do you think that's true that everyone
I
can
don't know.
justify things in their own mind? I wonder because to me it seems as though a person who's behaving in a malevolent fashion is going to experience some internal conflict about that. Can you experience a lot of conflict and still
They
justify it?
experience. Uh, well, I think a lot of times people don't normally do things without some sort of reasoning behind it. Like in their mind, it made sense in some form or fashion, so therefore it was justified. Um, Rarely I find that people just do things for absolutely no reason.
What's the difference if somebody concludes their own behavior was justified or if they conclude their own behavior was unjustified?
What do you mean?
Well, let's say I'm reviewing something that happened and I've concluded that my behavior is unjustified. How does that look versus if I have justified it to myself in some fashion? Or do you think the justification occurs before the action is taken?
I think the justification occurs before, and then you may reevaluate and come to the conclusion that it wasn't actually justified, that perhaps your reasoning was incorrect. But I think for most people, there's a level of justification that happens before action takes place.
Without telling me what it is, do you believe you know what your personality type is?
I believe I have a good idea.
Okay. Um, so this justification thing, is it possible to have been justified in the moment to take an action, but later determine it was unjustified in retrospect, but at the time it was justified? Like in the sense that how often do you think it, or how possible is it to be correct in taking your action and have unanticipated bad outcomes occur?
Um, I, I think probably that hinges on like emotional states. If it was kind of like an impulsive decision rather than something that was thought out. Does that make? I'm hitting on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an interesting question for me because I tend to roll through life fairly driven by my impulses, you know. So it would seem that the level of culpability would then be contingent on your what personality type you are. Some people are much more deliberate in their behaviors than others. So it's interesting this notion of deliberation as a factor. But if you were to rob a bank and you were coming up with a plan and you had a
I
gang
have a
of
plan.
you're the mastermind, okay? You're the mastermind of the bank robbery, okay? You've got 4 people on your team. You're confident that none of them is gonna betray the team or anything. But you're also confident that if you were to try to get rid of one of them, then that might change. And you got $10 million on the line here in this bank. You're going to be able to liberate. You feel so you've got a plan. Now, one of these 4 people, your transportation guy, you're not quite sure how you're going to do the getaway, whatever. He's kind of a dunce, and you're concerned that he's going to cause problems. But you also notice that he's very sensitive and wants to make sure he feels like he's an important part of the team. And how do you incorporate him into your plans?
Probably just play up his part as being important. Like,
So when you're talking with the group, you'd be saying like
just,
his
yeah,
name's
kind of
Donder.
emphasize, huh?
His name's Donder.
Donder. So I would emphasize that Donder is just kind of emphasize the importance of that he's playing and make him seem important to the team in a way that makes him feel included and important.
Well, I won't go inside the bank too.
Well, I would explain that that's not what's most beneficial, and you're actually, I would probably say something to the effect of, if no one's out here, then there's more of a chance that we would get caught. Kind
Or,
of like play on the fact that it's more important for that person to be outside.
huh? So I gotta look out for the cops or what?
Yeah.
All right then. Okay, so you've convinced Donder. Now, what's your next thing you want to address? Are you concerned mostly about um, that you could potentially deal with the security guards in a number of possible ways? You could kill them. You could try to use some sort of sleeping gas or something. I don't know. How are you going to deal with getting the fact that this place is the one problem you're going to have? The reason you want to do this is because you're confident that once you get a certain spot away, you'll get away with this scot free. But the problem is you're not really sure how you're going to get in and get in all the money. There's a bunch of security guards in there. So how are you going to deal with this?
Well, I mean, hypothetically, how would I deal with the guards? Probably a distraction would work best to use someone as a distraction. Um,
I could distract
but
them with my gun.
no, because that. I mean, are we talking about going in there, guns heavy, like
Well, yeah, I mean, you're
armed
planning to do it.
robbery?
Yeah, you're the general gist of it is you happen to have an arsenal of weapons on hand
Okay.
because your uncle
Well,
died and he left that to you, and they're untraceable weapons. It's like they're from 1954 or whatever, and
that's really.
very
I
convenient.
wouldn't do that.
Well, but okay, but you've
That's
been.
a really dumb plan.
you,
I have a
you,
better plan.
all right, well, what's your better plan then? I want to know. If you
My
reject
better
them,
plan. Well,
Donder
actually,
wants to go with the guns. Donder's convinced that the guns are the best plan.
no, no. You know what? Scratch the other two people. If Donder wants to do this, we're going to do this. But we're going to scratch the guns, and we're going to go, and we're going to find a secluded bank, and we're going to find when their busiest time, when they're going to have the most money, and we're going to hit up the one teller that has the most money, and Donder's going to go in there, and he's just going to slip her a note, and he's going to be quiet about it. He's not going to be waving no guns, and he's going to walk out, and we're going to drive away. And that's how you're going to rob the bank.
Just one gun? Got one gun?
Not even one gun.
You gotta give him a gun with no bullets in it. That's what you do.
Oh, well, that's
But it's still armed robbery.
yeah.
Are you trying to get it out
Armed
to
robbery
be
is dumb.
bank robbery is dumb in general, I think.
I don't know.
So okay, I've ruled out ESFP.
You've ruled out ESFP.
Mm-hmm. I think ESFP would have gone for the bank robbery plan.
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm an INTP.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay.
You're supposed to let me guess.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. You know, it's
We have a habit of interrupting.
Oh, that's you know, I'm sure my habit of interrupting is vastly more inflated than your own. So, you know, you're very you don't prioritize the feely part of things, particularly in these sort of equations. You know, in all the questions, your answers are very they're very NT. I mean, I can tell you're NT right away, pretty much, and it's just a matter of figuring out which kind. You didn't sound like an INTJ, and it didn't. I was thinking, well, okay, she could be ENTJ. I don't really know what they're like. Although I concluded today, I think my dad might be an ENTJ. I don't know.
I don't know any ENTJs.
I mean, he could be an S. No, he's an N. Because my dad's whole shtick is every time he tries to deal with me, the only way he knows really how to deal with me is to give me instructions about stuff. Like, you know, now, son, let's go over this thing again. It's these dates and these times and these numbers. Okay, Dad. That might be
I don't think
ENTJ.
I'm a J.
You don't think so?
No.
How's your relationship with SI?
SI? Like, I don't know a whole lot about SI, like, to be quite honest.
I think of it as being having two applications. In the external world, SI is like the little shit on your desk and your wallet and your key. Like this is a mess. This is my house and my stuff. That's fourth slot SI.
Okay.
SI in the internally is about you're just keeping track of your schedule, where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be, stuff like that. And I'm pretty bad at that too. So
Yeah,
I got shitty SI.
I'm pretty bad at both of those. I try really hard to be organized in my like schedule. So I like have a lot of reminders because I don't remember, and like if I didn't do that, I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't do anything bad.
Well, setting that stuff up is an example of you utilizing the SI properly to a certain extent. I mean, that's kind of one of those external applications of it, I guess, as well as sitting down the schedule of things in writing.
It's not sitting down. It's like if I don't write this in my phone at this moment, I'm never going to remember to do it again.
Yeah. Are you sure you're not an ENTP?
I don't know.
Well, like
I'm very introverted.
You're introverted? Because see, my theory is I can usually tell ENTPs right away. INTPs, I find myself just slipping into conversation with them. But I think INTPs are everybody's favorite NT. They seem to be the most well-liked of the NTs, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm like I don't really know if I'm more extroverted or introvert. I feel like I'm an introvert, but then I can be extroverted too. So I don't know.
Does it tire you out or give you energy?
It depends on the people, I think.
See, these are very INTP-ish answers because I I've noticed that because you've got TI, if you're an INTP, you've got TI in the dominant slot, you tend to not give definitive answers to questions that you feel you can come up with evidence for both sides on. So you can come up with evidence for both sides on something, and you're going to present it as, well, it really depends. So I think it's a matter of proportions. Um, for me as ENTP, NE is out of whack in proportionality with the other thing. So I'm much more NE, and it takes me a little bit of struggle to get some like precise stuff done sometimes. I just finished this video that I worked on quite a bit. It's a clips video. It lasts 5 minutes, but it's got like 50 different clips in it or something, or more than that. I don't know. But the point is, it takes me a long time to get around to doing something like that. And when I finally apply myself and do something, it's good. And then as soon as I was done with it, I was just like, oh, I gotta do some pure NE shit, like go to meeting. So, yeah, I would guess if you, it also seemed to be that the people who like this show are INTPs. So that's another reason to think you might be an INTP if you watch the show on a regular basis. I don't know.
Well, I just found it yesterday, so.
Well, I mean, if you found it, and thought, oh, this is interesting, decent chance you're an INTP, which makes my potential pool of audience fairly small. All right, there's not a whole shitload of you guys out there. Tiffany here is an ENTP. Hi, Tiffany. Let me see what time it is. I
actually have to get going.
All right, cool.
It was great talking to you.
Super good talking to you too. And I'm gonna cut this video. I'll stop this video and I'll upload it right now, and it'll be probably up there by the time you're home. Thanks a lot for being on Talking with Famous People, and thank you at home for watching.